What is up, travel lovers? Welcome back. Last time I left you, I just finished the sound deadening of the entire interior with the exception of the floor, because now I got wood and I'm going to be making the floor or the subfloor, and I also bought some machines and extra tools, circular saw, jigsaw. I got a roll of painter's paper. This is the stuff that they basically put on the floor when they paint, but I'm going to use it as a template. So I'm going to draw out the template for the wood, and hopefully I'm going to be able to cut the 3 pieces of 21mm plywood today and finish the subfloor. Now I'm not going to bolt it down because I haven't fully decided what I'm going to do for insulation just yet, but I'm hoping I can shape it and get it ready so that all I need to do when I'm ready to go is put it down. So that is the plan. So first thing I need to do, I need to empty all this stuff out of the car so I can start making that template. I got the van cleaned out. It actually took longer than I thought. It took me about 20 minutes. Some of those plywood, especially the 21mm, they were heavy and doing it alone was difficult. So if you can get somebody to help you, you're gonna be thanking yourself big time. But remember, give them a beer, cappuccino, do something nice for them, because that stuff's heavy. It took a while. I even swept it out. Now, before I go on to the next start, luckily this van came with some tie-down clamps. Here, I'll show you right here. Right here. So these are in the floor, and what's good is that they've already been bolted, and instead of having to drill holes into the floor, I can use these pre-drilled ones. I just gotta go around and pull all of these out. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So I am going to start the long and boring process of making the template, but once it's done, it will be so much easier to cut. So let's get started. For the templates, you will need some scissors to cut the paper, as well as some tape for holding the template in place. I also used the thick paper left over from the sound deadening to help with the trickier curves. Some people also recommend using cardboard for this. Lastly, you will need a ruler or measuring tape and a pen, pencil, or marker. Either way, making a template is much easier than cutting the plywood a million times until it fits. Also, it's more accurate if done correctly. The moment we have all been waiting for, getting ready to use the circular saw. I have sized up everything. Hopefully this first cut goes pretty well. I've left about an extra ½ centimeter, so in case I can trim it back down, because I'm not super familiar with the circular saw. So let's see how this goes. Plywood sheets are generally 2.5 meters by 1.25 meter, and the van interior is 1.87 meters. So the first cut I made was to cut off 63 centimeters. I then placed the template on the plywood and placed a line of tape under all the curves. This is to make the cut line easily and more accurate. The plywood is black. Another great reason for doing this is to keep the wood from chipping as the saw cuts it. I learned this by watching some carpentry videos and circular saw tutorial videos on YouTube. Then I would make the final cuts with the jigsaw. It is possible to do all the cutting with the jigsaw, but for long straight cuts, a circular saw is much easier. The first piece was cut. All I needed to do is check to make sure if it fit well. I checked all 3 sides and it looked near perfect to me. It took me a little while to get everything because it was the first time really using a jigsaw and a circular saw. I think I got it, and the next 2 pieces should go a lot faster. So on to making the template for the second piece. So I again started the process of creating a template. cut the plywood to the width of the van, then transfer the template to the plywood to cut out spots for the wheel well and a rib on each side, before using the jigsaw for the finishing touches. Piece number 2 went in pretty good. Let's check it out. Nice gap. Pretty smooth. Not much gap. Maybe I cut a little extra there, but better safe than sorry. So let's start cutting piece number 3. Now I would repeat the process again for the third piece, but with some much appreciated help. So what I haven't explained yet was that there will be a small gap, about 30 centimeters, between the second and third pieces of plywood. I knew this before I bought the wood, and instead of buying a 4th sheet of plywood, I decided I would fill the gap from the scrap pieces I had left over. After all, it'll be underneath the bed and not noticeable. The third piece fit like a glove. All that was left for me was to cut 2 small pieces and fill in the final gap in the floor. Just did the final cut. The floor is fully finished. Still haven't decided exactly if we're gonna put some insulation in the bottom. I think we might put something small. We still need to put the sound deadening in the little strips between. But I'm also thinking I might do some dowels for the 2 small pieces, because we had just this little tiny gap right here. So these are 2 small pieces. I think we'll put two or 3 dowels here, and then we'll dowel it to this back piece. The next morning I started cleaning out the van. I then had to cut the remaining sound deadening material into small strips to fit into the grooves of the floor, and then finally apply the sound deadening material to the floor. Well, I'm going to try to put some dowels into the wood and connect it, at least the 2 pieces, to make 1 piece, and hopefully even connect it to the back piece. Now I would connect the gap boards to the last sheet of plywood using dowels. Since I'm a beginner, I will keep all the nuances of connecting wood together with dowels to the professionals. There are tons of videos online explaining the process much better than I can do. YouTube search how to use dowels, and you should be set. So for simplicity, the process goes like this. Drill holes half the length of each dowel into each side of the boards you want to connect. Put wood glue in the holes, hammer in dowels into one board, then connect board and let dry for a minimum of 1 hour, but possibly a day is better. Okay, I just came back. New day. I wanted to check how the dowels and the glue went, and looks pretty good. Pretty straight. Not perfect, but pretty close. I was happy with how it turned out, so I went ahead attaching the gap board to the 3rd piece of plywood. This is probably overkill, but I am very happy with the result, as I did not want the small pieces rattling a bunch and even possibly jumping out of place. This will secure them nicely, as well as give me my yellow belt in carpentry. Once attached, I set it up to dry. So put all the dowels in, used the wood glue, and now having it dry using its own weight, because it's quite big. Don't really know a way to clamp it. I'm sure there is a way, but this is the best I could come up with. I clamped 2 pieces of wood to keep it straight against the seam, and 2 2x4s clamped. This should keep it straight, and then it's quite heavy, so I think having the small end at the bottom, all this weight will come down, and hopefully in an hour or so it will be dry. I took a couple days off from this project and chose to work on the bed frame. This will be the next video in this series, so hang tight for a full breakdown on how I did this. Now I will be putting the subfloor in. I was able to get this Sikaflex, which I will be putting on the ribs to hold the wood down. Now I think that is going to be sufficient, but if it's not, then I will use the original bolts, the tie down bolts, which here you can see where there's a screw. I will use those to bolt the wood down, but I'm hoping I don't have to do that. I have to clean the floor one more time before I can put the stuff down. Got the front piece of wood in. Now I am going to put the Sikaflex on the ribs and put down the first piece.
Luckily, I was able to get some additional hands to help me. Once in place, I began to weigh it down so that all parts of the plywood would sit flush and level. Now, I was ready to repeat the process for the second and third piece of plywood.
The reason I didn't put the sound deadening on the floor so quick is because I knew it'd get all messed up, kind of like this.
Oh well.
All right, the floor is cleaned, prepped, and ready. I've got the piece of wood that's gonna go there hanging, so once the glue's in I can just place it down because the piece is heavy and it's quite difficult to get in. So I decided to go ahead and just have it suspended from the bed frame because I guess the bed frame actually made it difficult to get that piece in. So one thing to think about, maybe wait to put your bed frame in if you can before doing the floor, but if you can't, like me, you can suspend it like I did. But I had to take the whole piece and put it in through the side door with the help of a friend. Thank you, Yaroslav. I don't know what I'd do without you. But I got a little bit of Sikaflex left, and I got a new one just in case, but I'll have plenty to put the final floor done, and then I'm completely done with the floor until I lay the vinyl flooring, but I think that will be another video.
Tip. On other videos, I hear that applying this in a circle could create a suction effect, making the adhesive even more strong. Just an idea. Apply it on generously. Then, with the help of Yaroslav, we put the final piece down and weighted it. This installation is complete, but keep watching to see my thoughts after several months of the floor being put in, as well as a total cost breakdown. Okay, it's been a couple months since I put the floor in, and I have to say I'm really happy with it. I did not need to bolt it down to the floor, was not an issue. Also, I'm really glad I didn't end up doing the subfloor, which you see a lot of the other YouTubers and other people doing their van conversions are putting a subfloor made out of 2x4s or sometimes 2x2s. A lot of extra materials, a lot of extra time, and you lose that space. You're going to lose about 2 to 2.5, 3 inches, and if you're tall or kind of tall like myself, you don't want to lose those inches so that you're not crouched down inside the van. Now you might be asking yourself, what about floor insulation? Well, I did tons of research on this and came up with tons of different opinions, but the one that stuck out was from this weathered old man that had lived in Alaska and several vans. He also has almost 500,000 subscribers. I'll put a link to his video where he explains why he doesn't do floor insulation, and that way you can make up your own opinion on whether or not you want to do it.
And finally, you're probably still watching this video because you want to know, what does it cost to do this? This is going to be the total cost breakdown. Please keep in mind the prices vary greatly, possibly where you are. Like right now I'm in the Czech Republic, but I did put the prices in the Czech Republic as well as in US dollars. Also, some of the tools you might not need, but they will make the job a lot easier, as well as possibly allowing you to put some stees on the project. So starting with the material costs, 3 sheets of 21mm pressure treated plywood was 4,400 crowns. 2 tubes of Sikaflex 11 FC Plus was 400 Czech crowns. 1 roll of masking tape, 42 crowns. 1 roll of painter's paper for making templates, 49 crowns. You could also use cardboard, but it's not as easy as the painter's paper for sure. 1 thing of wood glue cost me 59 crowns, and a package of 8mm by 40mm dowels cost 30 Czech crowns. A bottle of cleaner with alcohol to clean the floors before putting the Sikaflex down costs about 30 crowns. You might already have this. Also, you might also have rags, but you will probably burn 2 rags on this job, which is, I would say, about another 40 crowns. The total of this comes to 5,050 Czech crowns, or the equivalent of $223.25. Now on to the tool costs. You will definitely need minimum a jigsaw with blades for cutting sharp angles. These are the really narrow ones. This cost me 1,377 Czech crowns. A circular saw, you can do the project without, but the long straight cuts will make it difficult. Also, there's other things in your van conversion where the circular saw will be much appreciated, so I do recommend getting this, but you can do it all with a jigsaw. Circular saw, I spent 2,499 Czech crowns. Electric drill with cord can be as cheap as 1,150 Czech crowns, but it can be a lot more too. 8mm wood drill bit, 30 Czech crowns. Scissors, 40 Czech crowns. Tape measure and rulers, 40 Czech crowns if you don't already have these. Marker, you should probably have already. Pencil pen, I know you already have. And a dowel jig. You will need this if you're going to do the dowels like I did. The dowel jig cost me 250 Czech crowns. You will need a caulk gun for applying the Sikaflex. This was 150 Czech crowns. And it will help you to have some woodworking clamps. Here I spent another 200 Czech crowns. And the grand total for the tools was 4,719 Czech crowns. Now keep in mind, tool costs can vary a lot depending on the quality you desire. For instance, a cordless drill can cost as much as $500 or more if you get a super deluxe professional model. Well, this is the end of the video. It was a long one, but there was a lot of information to unpack. I hope you found it helpful and it helps you in your van build. If you liked the video, go ahead and like it back. If you want to see more of the videos, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, maybe the notifications if you're feeling randy. Also, if you have any questions, please hit me up in the comment box below. There'll also be some helpful links below to other resources that might help you. Well, until next time, safe travels.
Don't leave yet. There's tons of great videos to keep watching. More importantly, did you subscribe yet?